This town.
Well, hey, what is up, everybody? Hopefully, we're coming in loud and strong. We got a special episode for you today. Tonight, we're going to be painting a kind of a tribute piece that I'll be giving away at a event coming up here in Salt Lake City. Not going to get too much into that, but however, all of the super chats and any of the donations that usually come to us will go straight to the what is it? The PSTD? I can't say it right.
PTSD.
PTSD Foundation. Is that what? Did you write that down when I told you? That way they know.
Veterans battling PTSD charity.
Yep. And I guess it's like for motorcycles, rent motorcycles out. It's pretty cool. So yeah, so any of the super chats going to go straight to that. So I appreciate that. But anyways, if you didn't catch the live last week, we did do a Beetlejuice in color, and it actually turned out pretty good. So if you can always go back and rewatch that, we're going to be doing more airbrushing tonight. It's going to be a little bit different because we are going to be using gray tones. Notice I didn't say we're painting this in black and white because really we're not. We're going to be using gray tones all the way through here, and then we may use a little bit of black and white at the end if needed, but most likely not. That's kind of one of the things you'll probably learn. And if you're new to airbrushing, keep on track with that, because really once you go black, you can't take that back and you can't go darker than black. So even at the panel you're seeing here, this is a very dark gray, and it's the darkest shade that we're going to be going and starting with, but it's still far from black. But any questions along the way, I'm going to show you how to do this, how so if you have any questions, Ashley's here. Show related questions you have, like always, and we'll get started on this. So we start with white and black. So if you were to look at this right here, you would say, oh, that's, you can kind of tell that's gray, but really without putting that up next to white, you wouldn't know how gray it really is, So there's white, and there's the lightest color of gray we're going to be using. So basically we're using that for our lightest gray. You can see we scaled it up a little bit just by adding a little bit more black, and we scaled it up again. You can see here. And this is just slightly darker. Our darkest mixture is slightly darker than what I painted the base. The base coat I sprayed with a gun. I used what you see here. So that's actually dark gray base that I based the whole panel out in. Instead of starting with black, I feel like starting with a little bit dark gray is way better, because there's some problems with blue shift and stuff like that, and I feel like you end up over painting in that case because you got to put so much paint down in order to get rid of that black. So being able to start somewhere in the middle is a better route to go. We could have even painted this lighter, we would have been fine. Okay, so now that we have that dark gray, I'm going to show you what we did with the stencil here. So I only had an 8.5 by 11 printer, so I just broke it up into two different pieces. I got the image from, I made the image on AI. Basically, I just prompted, it gave me some background. I just prompted Statue of Liberty high contrast. I put it in a realistic mode, and this is what it came up with. So this is what we're using. But in order to print it out and make it to the size, I had to like cut it in half and then print it out of two pieces. So that's why you see it here in two separate pieces here, which is no big deal. But you do have to know that it is kind of overlapping. So you see the neck's like really huge right now. That should actually be like right there. So we'll line that up once it's time. And I took just let me compare that to what we have printed here. This is our reference picture, so we know where the shades go. You can see here all the really dark areas. I didn't worry about any of the light gray, just the dark areas around the eyes, and the crown here, and then the hairline. You can see, oh, not in there.
Wow.
Wow, that was close. Let me actually flip this around. We'll be able to see a little better. Basically, just I kept it all in one piece, and that's what's important. Keep it all together. If you have to leave little tabs, you don't if don't cut it all out. Like I could have cut all the way down right here, and then we would have had a whole separate piece for the face and the neck. We don't want that. So keep little tabs together to hold the stencil into one piece. And then you could always, basically, this is just getting us in the ballpark, and we're going to be able to freehand airbrush these other shades in to be able to, shade it in and make it look like artwork. Okay, so you can see here, right here, I just went online and I looked up like prisoners of war and stuff like that and just found silhouette images. So I just typed in just that silhouette, prisoners of war, military silhouette. You can find all kinds of stuff. I'm like, oh, I like this one. I'll probably end up modifying it a little bit, pulling this a little bit closer for where it's sitting. But we're gonna use that as like a backdrop for this. And then I do have the two gunman fighters that I found online, just creating a silhouette stencil of that too. But that will actually go that way. So for the foundation is that I'm doing this for, it's what they'll do is they'll take these veterans that have the PSTD. Did I say that right? PSTD?
PTSD.
PTSDs. And they'll
Stress disorder.
and they'll like take them fly fishing, rock climbing, all this fun stuff. So pretty cool organization. Something very similar to who we're donating to here tonight. But on this side, I was planning to. I don't have it printed out yet, as it's going to take me a little bit longer. But we're going to be able to get into a lot of this tonight. But we're going to do like a fly fisherman over here. So it's going to be like war over here. And then we'll have like the silhouettes of the fly fisherman. I was also thinking like, I don't know, like rock climber or something like that. Once that's all done in the gray tones, I may add a little bit of candy paint over the top, transparent paint. I was thinking about making this more of a blue tone over here and this more of a gold tone, showing that like the cold of war and then like the warmth of these activities. Like that's my inspirations I'm going off of. So that's all I got. We'll see. I build these as I go, so there's no set rules. I know this is what I'm gonna lay out right here, but I'm kind of leaving this open right here. I'll let my I won't make any harsh decisions until it comes to that time. So you don't need to plan it all out before you start painting. So just keep that in mind.
Someone had a question. It says, why not cut the stencil out on Mylar Cricut in multi layers to save time?
Well, I mean, in Mylar, yeah, you could. But then you got stencil for everything, and you really don't need the stencil for everything. You just need the stencil to kind of give you a guideline. This is actually a lot more than what I would need. We got all the nice creases. It's going to make it faster and easier because really a lot of that can be free-handed in. It just takes time. All right, let's go. We're going to tape these down. Just a little piece of tape somewhere, maybe just right there. We'll just tap it down. And then this does overlap. Where are we at here? Okay, looking good there. It looks like some of that stencil right there I'm going to need to trim. Oh, this actually goes up even higher. Actually goes right there.
PTSD. So basically, y'all are helping me with that.
All right. Well, hey, that's good to hear. That's probably not an easy thing to deal with.
You inspired me to take up airbrushing and painting motorcycles, and for that, I think you paying attention to it really pays off.
Yeah, all right. Appreciate that. Okay, we're gonna be using the fancy Avante. This is a $25 airbrush from Harbor Freight. This actually works pretty decent. This will do the job. Let's make sure it's clean. And some of the coating and the finish is starting to come off, but it's still working pretty good. A little dirty. All right, let's start this off. We're going to go ahead and register this with, let's see, we can kind of just take our pick here. Let's go ahead and register it with, maybe not with that, with this next shade right here. We're going to need to reduce that a little bit. So I do keep urethane reducer. So what we're using is just Limeline black base coat and white base coat, and we are mixing them together to make these different tones of gray. And then I got urethane reducer in this ketchup bottle here, and we need to thin this out to make it sprayable through the airbrush, because when you're using an airbrush, you need to thin your paint out more, because the paint now has to go through this little small little nozzle here compared to like what a paint gun. You know, paint can be much thicker. But for airbrushes, need to be thinned out more like 1.5 to 1 or even 2 to 1. It's nice to have a little bit more on the thinner side because it blends out and it makes your airbrush work a lot smoother if you can use thinner paint. And also, and I've talked about this before, how thick or thin your paint is relevant to how much air pressure that you're putting in through the airbrush. So if you have really thick paint, you need a lot more air pressure to push that through. Um, on the other hand, if you're using that same air pressure, really high air pressure, to spray out really thin paint, it's going to blow it out because it's like water. It's just so thin. It's too much pressure for that. So you have to be able to not only adjust your air pressure, but your uh, thickness, viscosity of the paint. Let's put these off the side. Let's knock these over. Let's put these off to the side before I knock them over.
Says when I found this channel, I binged all videos and subscribed because it helped me with mine.
All right. Appreciate that, guys.
It's being creative and enjoying what you create. It helps too. PTSD is the hardest element to deal with.
Well, you know, these military themes are probably the funnest to paint. Um, there's just so much cool stuff, you know, like you can put airplanes, jets in the background, tanks, all kinds of cool stuff that you can paint. Pretty cool. Okay, so we do have that gray tone that's in the airbrush right now. Let's see if that's spraying okay. Oh, yeah, it's looking pretty good.
Adam, are those the shoes you recently painted and the ones you're wearing? They look cool.
Oh, yeah, thanks. I just did paint these a couple days ago, actually. I was waiting on the laces. Yeah, I appreciate that. So, you see, I'm hitting these. These are all supposed to be shadows that I'm hitting right here. So it's going to be kind of, we're putting slightly a negative effect into it because a little bit of overspray is getting into those. But really, what I want to do is just register the outside of it, because we really want the Statue of Liberty to be darker and then the back to be lit up. So like the sun's like hitting at her back, and then just, you know, lighten up. So we have a lot of nice, good looking shadows here. We're going to use just a little bit of that overspray so we can register that in so we know where to put our highlights.
Right doing now? No, that's better. Now.
Okay, that's registered good enough. Seems like it's oh, did you put the I think you put the tape over the microphone too. Is that where the mic's at? You may have done that. You see how good that looks already. I mean, that's just a straight up stencil. All right, we're gonna put this off to the side, make sure we don't ruin it.
Is that better? Maybe that's better. Let me know if you guys can hear me now.
I think that was it because I'm pretty sure the mic's right there. All right, so I'm going to clean that out, and we're going to go ahead and hit this with the. You want to go? You just want to click out of it real quick and click back in and see. Click out.
Sorry.
Yeah, you should be able to. Okay. All right, that should be better. Say something, Ashley.
Now let me know if you guys can hear me. Maybe I on that one.
I had second thoughts. I'm gonna go ahead and stick with that same shade. I did say I was switching it out, but I'm gonna stick with that. All right, let's get to it. So really what I'm gonna do is all the lightest areas, like on the face right here, we're just gonna go ahead and just lightly paint them in.
They said they still can't hear me.
That's weird. Hot Ash.
How about now? Whoa.
Oh, there you go.
That
There.
must have did it. I had to
I
add
think that was
myself
it.
on stage. I guess I wasn't on stage. I don't want to be on stage. I think that did it.
There we go. Okay, so once again, the shadows that we have on this that we registered on the face are lighter than what they should be. So we're going to pretty much be washing all of this out. So we're going to lose a lot of this little bit of detail that's in there. We're looking up here. This is all lighter up here. So we need to make sure we hit all that. We're not looking to do any kind of real detail here. It's not. It's, one thing that I always kind of wrestled with was like, how far do I take a certain part once I'm done painting it? You know what I mean? Like, how do I paint the eyes and like get them all detailed up and then move to another spot and detail that all up? That's not really the way that I found that's effective. It's always nice just to be able to rough things in like I'm doing here and save all the detail for last. That way you're kind of building it all up together. We need to make sure we hit it up here because look, all that's highlighted up there. We don't want to lose that highlight. And even though the top's pretty blacked out or darkened out, I should say, we still need to give it some texture and a little bit of light there. That way we can come back with the darker shade. It'll have a little bit more of a layer there. You see the robe kind of now when we go with the robe, we want to kind of find the flow of the robe here. So always doing the dagger strokes in a way that complement the shape and the roll of the part. So you can see like right here, the robe kind of just rolls over. So that's the strokes that we're going to use. We're going to go this way rather than trying to like go this way. That would I mean, obviously you need to go that way too, to kind of to bring in the textures. And if you look real close, having it going along with the flow is going to make things look a lot smoother and more realistic. Looks like there was a little bit. Oh, that's down lower actually. See the robe goes this way and then down that way. And we can see all this because we registered everything with the stencil, even though the lighter is going to be darker. So we need to get the other, this other shade up a lot lighter.
Looks like we're up to 289 on that charity, guys. So awesome.
I'm
Thanks.
sorry, what was that?
We're up to 289.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah, appreciate that, guys. Yeah, all the super chats and everything is going straight to that Veterans Foundation. And they're going to be super happy because I think they're just a small group of people that did some kind of charity on YouTube. And then I just found it on there. I just picked it back up. And then we just start working on their charity. It's a pretty cool thing. Pretty slick how it works. I think we raised one of the other ones we did for the homeless pets.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one was over 2,000.
Yeah. It looks like on here, Adam's Custom Shop donated $250.
Oh,
That's-
wow.
I think
Well,
that's
that's
how
where
we
it
got
came
it for
from.
the 289. Yeah. So
Yeah,
thanks.
well, Adam's Custom Shop, he's actually, if I remember right, he's actually in Iraq.
Yeah, I think he's not. Well, last time we talked to him, he was not home, right?
Yeah, he's in Iraq, yeah, with helicopters. Pretty badass. Appreciate you doing that, Adam. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thanks.
Even back here where it's darker, we still want to get in there and highlight that. We need to make sure we need to be certain where the highlights are the brightest, that we have it enough paint there, because and we'll talk a little bit about blue shift once we get in a little bit darker shade. And I don't know how many people know what blue shift is or have noticed the phenomenon of blue shift. Right now, there's a little bit of blue shift going on. But once I get into a darker color, I'll be able to explain it better by showing you what it is.
It looks like we got a lot of vets on here. So thanks, you guys, for your service and time and everything you put in for us.
Yeah, right on. Appreciate that. We're glad we're able to help you guys learn something new here. And hopefully you are. The stuff that I'm doing here is not, as you can see, when I'm using the airbrush, I'm kind of dagger stroking back and forth. And if you look real close, I am moving my finger. The paint's coming on and off with every stroke. Because if not, you end up with, see that? But if you're, see the difference? Even if you go fast, like, still balls up, right? So you have to have the on and off. Sweep, 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 sweep. It goes like that. Dagger stroke.
Adam said, yes, still in Iraq right now, getting ready for work and about to go advise Iraqs on how to stop breaking the helicopters.
Yeah. It's like rental cars, right? It's like working for a rental car company. They're hard as shit on that, right? Yeah, appreciate you guys. All right, make sure we're bright enough there, right in the forehead and in the chin. Upper lip, too, needs to be. All right, we're almost there. A little bit more right here. We don't want to overpaint this too much. You put too much paint down, it really starts to ball up, and towards the later paint, it starts to create a little bit of a texture, and it doesn't look the same. If that ever happens, what I'll usually do is just clear coat it, and then come back, sand it, and then do more. And then you're starting with a smooth surface again. All right, we're looking pretty good there. So since we're already on this shade, I mean, it doesn't look as good as it did earlier. Like I talked about last week, these portraits that you do, they get worse before they get better. So you have to have a lot of confidence in yourself. And if you're new, you're going to start this and you're going to think, oh, I'm ruining it. Like right now, you think, oh, the more I do, the more I'm just washing this out, the more it's just getting ruined. That's not the case. We're going to register the stencil, and we need to make sure that that's bright enough now, not later. We don't want to come back later and do this. We want to make sure it's bright enough now. So when we hit that next shade and register that stencil again, we have the brights where it needs to be. Okay. I'll go ahead and grab this other stencil. All right, so this stencil, I'm probably going to, let me put my airbrush over here. I'm gonna go ahead and I can probably just rip that. Yeah, that needs to be closer because we don't have as much room here. I really wanted that. We might end up losing a little bit of that too to make it work. It can go up here a little more. Okay. And we can take our stencil and probably lay it there so we don't.
What airbrush are you using?
I'm just using the Advante from Harbor Freight. It's the $25 airbrush. Stick that right there. Okay. And then
Someone asked, will this hood be donated to the relief project?
yes, it's not the one we're donating to because they weren't listed on the YouTube charities there, but it's going to one that's very similar. They're doing the same thing. They're helping veterans with their PSTD. What is it?
PTSD. Come on, man.
I don't know.
PTSD.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's good. Yep. We want a little bit of space in between that. That's fine. All right, let's go ahead and we will register the outside of this. Just hitting the edges. We don't want to get the bottom, just the top. We could put some rolling hills down there. All right, let's give it a little bit of fade up there. Give it some texture. All right. Okay. Cool. Let's see how easy that was. We'll go back. We're going to come back to these. And somebody asked why I don't use Mylar. But yeah, you can use Mylar. The reason why I don't use vinyl is because we always go back and reuse these paper stencils to re-register.
For some reason, it won't let Cheddar donate. I'm not sure. It's on the YouTube part, Ched. So try and see if it will let you. I don't know. It's weird why it wouldn't.
Yeah, if you're on Amazon, we're streaming on Amazon as well. That's not a part of that. So
No, I think it's on YouTube. A sticker says, "Hey Adam, just wanted to give you a big thank you for sharing all your skills with us. You and some of the other guys like Dom really motivated me to get back into painting."
All right. Cool. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's a fun thing to learn, really. You can make it a side hustle or you can just do it for yourself. You paint your own bike. It depends on how much you love it and how much time you have. All right. You see, I don't got the feet to all this. So really all I'm going to do is like, I'm going to put this down a little bit because I might put a jet in here later. So I think this is going to be a good spot, right? Let's see. I think we're going to go right there, but I don't necessarily want to paint over. I want the Statue of Liberty to be in front. So let's see if I can make this happen. If I could shield this off enough. All right, let's get it lined back up. Okay. We want to get the end of his rifle right there.
Just blend it in.
Sticker said that I recently started taking on customer work instead of just my own, and I got my first big money custom job on a hot rod, and it's really going to jumpstart my business and maybe do this more full time.
All right.
Wow, that'd
Well,
be
that's exciting.
awesome. Yeah, right on. I hope it does.
Yeah. Okay.
Darren
Well, that's
says,
all
I
looking
thought
really
this
good.
was impossible till I started watching Adam practice makes perfect, and it opened a door for me. So thank you, Adam and Ash.
All right.
Welcome, right
I mean,
on,
you can
guys.
see what I'm doing here is not hard. I mean, and I'm by far the best. I'm not trying to be the best or whatever claim to be the best. There's people that are just so good. I just do this good enough that if I want it to be really nice, I could spend the time and do it. But really, a lot of this stuff, I mean, it just doesn't take too much time. As you do more of these, you'll be able to see more detail that you can paint and go ahead and do that. But once again, it's a blessing and a curse if you're really, really good at airbrushing and it takes you a long time to do a project, because once you get up to a certain point where your painting's so good that you can't really you got to paint to a certain standard. And in order to paint to that standard, it takes you like 30 hours. And then it's really hard to make that money back because you're spending so much time doing it. So, my advice to anybody that does these murals and stuff like that, unless it's your goal to become maybe the most, what do they call it? The hyper realistic painter or something like that, that's just, you want to get to that level. That's great. But once again, you get to that level, it's hard to go back to painting some of these more simpler designs and getting paid for them quick. But yeah, a little bit of time can make these turn out really cool still. I'm going to come in and just highlight a few areas, because right now we're just highlighting right on top of what we laid out as a stencil, just to give it a little bit of form and definition. Really no detail, but just to give it a little bit of highlight there, like above the head, just a little bit here and there, shoulders, wherever you think light would naturally kind of bounce off of these objects. Just hit it with a little bit lighter. We'll do the same thing. We'll go back with the darker shade and darken these up just a little bit here and there, so they're not an actual silhouette. 1, 2 shades. It's more than that.
Nate said, still making money on customer stuff. Thanks, Adam and Ash.
Hey, you got it. Okay. Perfect. Like I said, there's going to be more stuff over here. I'm actually at the event. They want me to paint there, so I'm actually going to paint that side while I'm there. But let's get the stencil back on here. Now we don't really have to have them together since we already have it registered out. All right, I'm going to clean this out. We're going to go ahead and hit it with a darker shade. Let's see. We'll go with. We will go with the darkest shade that we have. And we'll go ahead and register that in, so that way we can see it really good. Like I was saying, there's not really any set way to do to to put the light gray on top of the dark gray and the dark gray on top of the lighter gray and the light. There's really not a method. You'll kind of find your own way if you want to do it, but switching between two different shades like this that are pretty similar, both black and white make these shades. This one's a little darker, that one's a little lighter, but going back and forth between these two shades, or maybe these two shades right here, going back between these that are a little bit closer to but are a little bit darker. You just gotta just flip flop in between shades that are similar, but you don't want to go out. You don't want to put white on top of black, because what happens, there's something that's called blue shift, and I think I'll be able to show you what that is right after this, once we go to the lighter color. Let's grab our reference. Okay, good. You can see how much darker that is than the last shade that we were doing. Not too much. Got it there.
Parrish said I got to give big praise to the limelight stencils, the wood grain especially.
Yeah, I saw that. That looked awesome. Good job, man. Yeah, you did a whole. I can't remember what kind of panel it was, but had wood grain and some other stuff on there. Yeah, very impressive. So I'm just hitting this darker shade in the face in the dark areas. Really, I want the background to be lighter. I just dribbled right there. I want the background to be lighter, so I'm just hitting the face areas. Is that gonna do it again?
Built a new 10 by 12 paint booth in the backyard. Better to have positive airflow versus negative?
You should have more positive than negative airflow. Is that what he's saying? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you want a little bit more positive pressure in that booth. Is it the blow up booth? Inflatable? Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to. Mine doesn't. I don't even have pressure going into my booth here. It's just exits out, and it does pretty good. Okay, let's check this out. Is that gonna have enough contrast there? Oh yeah. A little bit more around the face here. See what's going on there. Okay, yeah. Starting to get more detail back here into there. Let's not ruin this. We'll grab it. Yeah, it dripped on there.
Oh, sorry, I was trying to see if I could figure out why some people can't donate. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's okay. That's the side I haven't airbrushed on yet, so no big deal. You don't want to drip on this later stage when you're almost done. So I'm keeping it out here. Is that dripping out of there?
Sure.
Is that dry? Oh, up there. Okay, make sure we have this lined up correctly. It doesn't look like right there we do. Let's come up a little more. No, we're stuck. Okay, there we go. This actually, no, that'll be fine. We'll do that on the last shade. Okay, you can see we got all of the lines re-registered there. So now we can kind of see what's going on. Same thing with this shade as I'm gonna go. Let's find my reference. Where did I put that thing? Oh, it's right here. All right, let's sneak this camera up just a little bit.
Spin the wheel.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Yeah, if you haven't yet, guys, hashtag lime into the comments like you can see people doing. Get you a little closer to the action here, huh? Let's see what's going on.
Ready for me to spin it now?
Yeah, let's do it.
There we go.
All right. Good luck, guys. Ron, BD Designs. Hey, I like the designs. Sounds like you'll be able to use this stuff. I'll be putting together a mystery pack for you. So shoot us an email, info@limelinepaintsupply.com, and we just need to know your address so we'll be able to send that to you. Okay, so I'm just kind of following see the darker shadows right here. Really, I'm just not to get a whole lot of detail. I'm just starting to mimic that. And also around here, I'm going to darken that up. We're going to lose detail though, because we're using the same shade, but that's okay because we've capped this shade off at this level, so it can't get any darker. Once it's all the way covered, by putting more paint on top, it's not going to make it any darker. The only way it's going to get darker is we put darker paint on top of it. We've capped this color off, this shade off at this particular shade, so we can't go any darker than that. Start kind of putting in the lines for the hair. See how there's kind of just a little bit of texture and lines. Try to mimic that, what we see in that. The closer you get, the more detail you're able to put in. So we're just kind of painting the underpainting is what a lot of people would call this. See that shadow comes up right there. Down into the neck. You see, I'm just kind of just working my way down, not trying to do too much detail. And then once we get into the robe, it's pretty easy. We can kind of look to see what we got going on here, or to be honest, when it comes to the robe, you can kind of make it up too. If you feel like you can draw it out better than our reference picture here, that's fine. Like I said, I just got this. I just prompted this off of AI and got this image. As we work up our way up, see it's a little bit darker right there. Get in there. I don't think I registered the stencil right there where I should have. This is actually where the torch starts. We don't have it in our reference here. We're just going to draw it out to what we think. With the ball there at the bottom of the torch. And something like that.
Hey, I got a question. I'm in the middle of doing copper leaf on a panel. My plan is to airbrush rivets in the copper. Would it be best to clear the whole panel with 2K clear?
Yes, for sure to do that. Just be careful with taping on top of that leaf, even if it has been clear coated. You can still do those rivets, but maybe don't do them with. You can just do it with a paper stencil. That way you don't have to actually stick the tape to the leaf.
Or, and then it said, or can I get away with a couple coats of clear? Wait, coat clear.
Clear base coat?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
rivets with
No, you can. You probably could, but I would clear coat it. But definitely don't tape on top of the leaf. And then it's risky to tape on top of the leaf, even if it's been cleared. Not to say you can't, because I have taped on it and it hasn't caused a problem before. But I've also taped on it and it has caused problems before. So it's one of those things you don't want to do unless you absolutely have to tape on top of it. Just really risky. All right, that robe's looking pretty good. I'm gonna shadow up this way. Oh, sorry about that. There's an L.
There's no plan to tape on the leaf. No, that's great.
Yep.
Ask me how I know.
I don't want to.
No. Welcome back, Kyle.
I'm just matching up a little bit, giving it a hint of what it says here. I have no idea what this thing says or means. Okay, we're looking good. Go ahead. I think I'm so.
Why do my engine turns come out so soft? I can only see them at certain angles.
You might have to apply a little bit more pressure. Also, make sure that when you apply your leaf down, make sure you're getting it down as smooth as possible. Try not to have any wrinkles in it. Also, if you apply your glue like with a lot of texture, and that can happen by not reducing it enough, or your airbrush not spraying it correctly, that it kind of leaves a texture. That leaf is going to take on that texture, and it's not going to be as shiny. The shinier the leaf, the better it's going to look spun. If it's rough and textured, it's going to be hard to be able to see those spins. You'll see them a little bit, but not really that good. Excuse me.
How would
Right.
you prep and paint a PS5 plastic panel cover?
I would put adhesion promoter on there. So I would clean it, scuff it down with some 600 grit, and put down a plastic adhesion promoter. And then you can go straight to base coat. No primer. I'm going to put in just a little bit of a cloud effect here. You can see how, just using this stencil that I have, just a piece of it. You can also make this out of paper or whatever. Going to create a little bit of texture off of that. Okay, looking pretty good. Let's bring it back up a little bit. Get the whole picture here. Okay, so like I said, we lost some detail here. No big deal. The little spot there. Take care of that later. Once again, this is going to go darker. All this is going to go darker. But we are going to go a little bit lighter. Before we go to the dark, we're going to go to the light here. And we're going to hit that. And I'll show you exactly what blue shift is here. Right now. So there's our darker shade. I'll clean that out. And then we have our lightest shade. It's almost white. Not quite. I'll put a little bit more reducer in here. It's always better to be working with a little bit thinner paint than thicker paint. That way it blends out nice and smooth. Okay. I'm going to go in here. Now, since this is our lightest color, you see how it's not even close to being white still. We're going to go ahead and highlight all the areas. Make sure we hit the eyeball there, even though we're going to lose more detail because it's kind of loose. We need to make sure we get these lights in there. Now you can see that I'm painting this white color over, it's a lighter gray, a darker gray, I should say. I'm not painting this straight over black. So if this white was painted with this light gray was painted over black, what's going to happen is it's going to have a little bit of a blue shift. And so if you go from spraying a really light color over black or really, really dark gray, what's going to happen is it's not going to look white. It's going to have a blue hue to it. And I don't know the exact reason why it happens. What I've heard is because blue is like the most prominent color in all the hues. I could be wrong. That the blue happens to stand out, and that's what your eye picks up is that blue color, which is fine if you know how to use it. But what happens is it starts to look kind of odd. So if you ever seen like an airbrush painting that's been over painted and it was just painted too dark, and then they went like, oh, I'm gonna lighten this up a little bit, and then they go straight to white, and it just looks bluish white, and it's unnatural looking. It looks fine in some instances, but in most cases, it's not a desirable look. So here we're fine. It's blue shifting a little bit, but if we were to take this on top of, let's see if I have my black folder here. What do we have here? If I paint this right on top of that, this actually has a more bluer look than, let me do one really dark right here. You see the difference? Completely different. That's the same paint. That paint is that paint. That looks like blue. That looks like light gray. So you can see the difference here. So if you go too dark, so if you spray everything super dark, you're going to end up having that shift of blue, which is not a desirable look in most cases. So if you're a painter and you've been, messing around with doing these portraits, and it just doesn't seem quite right because of that, that's probably the reason. Something I wrestled with a lot until somebody explained that to me. I can't remember who did. It might have been Drew Blair or somebody I listened to that said that. So not too worried. See, I want to get up here. I'm not too worried about the overspray because I'm going to re-register all that. Just kind of bring that highlight down. A little bit into there. Okay, get to the robe here. Pretty easy stuff.
Dom the painter said, "Tell Adam I just got back from Hawaii from doing a custom Honda."
Who's doing a custom Honda?
Dom just got back.
No way. From Hawaii? No way. That's badass. Like, how were the arrangements on that? Like, did he you just fly out there? And I want to hear more. Yeah, if you guys don't follow Dom yet, he's on TikTok. Always doing lives on. Damn, every time I'm on TikTok, Dom's live on TikTok. Actually, not in a minute. I haven't seen you for a minute. I'll have to, probably because I haven't been on there.
He was in Hawaii.
Oh yeah. Well, shit, you can still stream from Hawaii. It's TikTok. Well, it's the best time. Yeah, I think it's just Dom the painter.
He said in 4 days, start to finish, both sides, 2 cars, multicolor.
Well, somebody's busy. I like that. Kind of shadowed there. Not too much up here. I'll go ahead and maybe highlight. There we go. Above that eye. Make sure we got that. Above that eyebrow. Really just need to make sure that we're punching out those areas that are brightest now, because it's going to be it'd be a pain in the butt to go back after. Still pretty bright right here. We're missing some. Hit those highlights one more time, just here and there, just to make them a little brighter. Highlight the highlights. Kind of bringing that background up a little bit, mixing it in with that texture that we laid out. Not going to do too much, just enough. A little foggy, kind of just splitting that up because we don't have the whole stencil there. So we're going to kind of let it flow, let one flow into the other, kind of like what a tattoo would be, you know? Okay. Looking good. All right, let's go ahead and we're going to add our darker color here.
What about the highlighted lines above the hair?
Let me get my reference out here. Oh, there it is. What? Let's see. What am I looking at? The hair. The hair. The hair's all right here. So I got all that highlighted pretty good. I could have went down a little farther. And we're gonna use a stencil and stuff to tighten that up right there too. Super bright right. Right there could have been a little brighter. You can see. It's okay. We're fine. It don't need to be exactly like it. Oh. Not really. Oh, on the edges. Yeah, there is a little bit like. No, I got that. Right here on the edges, they actually should be, but we're gonna do that. We pick and choose. Pick and choose our detail. Now this is the same color as the background. This is the exact same color I sprayed out of a gun right here. You can hide that. And it goes away. There we are.
Did you custom paint your sneakers? They look cool.
Yeah, I did the other day. I did. Starting to wear in and actually start to look good. Add that out a little more. Okay, perfect. All right, we'll go back to our trusty stencil here. Make things look right again. Make sure that we're lined up correctly here. I don't want to drip on there. Okay. We lined up good there. Looks like it. All right. Oh, let's see it right here. Okay. Go. All right. Starting to look a little more realistic, huh? Got everything there. So as you can see, I kind of did get up here just for a little bit of a shadow, but we're gonna want to re-highlight those again.
You're done, send it to Chopper Bob for pinch target.
That would be. Oh, this thing? Yeah, I gotta deliver it to them on Monday. They kind of, I think they want it, or I would. Be awesome. But I should do that with something else. If he's down, was that him that said that,
No,
or should somebody else volunteer? Oh, there you go. I know a guy. I know a guy. Okay. Where am I at here? Neck.
Ron, who won on the first Will Spin, said, I did get the Limelight banner earlier this week. Pretty nice. Just have to add some grommets to hang it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you could just actually put a tack through it too. That's what we did. We couldn't see getting the grommets for the smaller ones.
What's the yellow spot in the stencil for us? Reference like?
This,
Yeah.
it's tape. It's tape to hold it down. You can see it right here. I actually need that. That was tape that held that down too. I need to pull that off and re-register that. But yeah, that's just tape. What I did is I put it on there so it could hold it in place. So right now it actually won't move. But I will need to take that off and then hit the stencil in that area where the tape's been. Okay. Yeah, so let's go ahead and do that. We'll pull the little pieces of tape we laid out. Oh, ripping the stencil a little bit. No, no,
Uh-oh.
it's okay. Why you shouldn't do it on important spots, which it's not. It's just on the robe. No. Okay, we're okay. Line her up. There we go. Perfect. We go back. And where we have that other piece of tape, we will.
So is your Iwata pins just better for fine details, being that they're more expensive?
Yeah. Yeah. But this just goes to show you don't need all that in order to be able to do this. I don't mind these. I mean, they're not as nice, but they're $25 and they they work pretty good. They work almost as good. And the fact that you could just go down the road and get another one if something happens. What is there? What is that wet? It looks wet. I don't want to touch it if it's wet. Is it wet? Yep. We'll let that dry. Hopefully not touch it. All right, let's just touch up this area right here. Line that back up. There we go. Okay. Very nice. I'm going to go ahead and just going to take a peek at this. I don't know. I'm just going to re-hit these darker spots.
I see a line like on the neck.
Yeah, right here. Yeah, that's where the stencil was. I could blend that in. Yeah, it's because I used the two different stencils and a little bit of overspray. You're talking about this one, huh? Yeah, a little bit of overspray. No, but it's no big deal. Take care of it. Kind of darken underneath the helmet. This is where you would naturally probably see the shadows, and kind of just darken it up and give it a layer, a light layer of paint over the whole thing, just kind of dark everything up. Put some texture into the dirt there.
Dom says they flew me out, paid for this trip, paid for. They flew me out, paid for the trip, paid for the job, really took care of me. I did it. Still runner time on it. $250,000 Honda Civic. It was wild. I did life.
No way. Wow. And you got to go to Hawaii. Did you take your old lady?
I said that, and he said no, she couldn't go because of work.
Oh, he would have though. He's a good man. I'm just gonna kind of everywhere where there was this, I'm gonna kind of just freehand in some texture here. Nothing too crazy though. We don't want to get it too dark. Nice and soft. This whole area right here needs to be shaded that way. Closer you get, the more detail you can do. This is a $25 airbrush, but it still does really good. As you can see, I paint it with the cap off. That way I can see the tip of the needle. Paint the Adam's apple. Try to get rid of that little double line we put in there. Let's bring our reference back into the picture so we know what the heck's going on here. Just painting blind. Look right here, there's just big shadow all along the arm, the elbow right there. Slowly darken that up. We don't need to do it all at once. We can kind of just build onto it every once in a while as we go back to it.
So you can visually check on buildup. Is that why the cap?
What about the cap?
So you can visually check on buildup.
Yeah, that's one reason. So you can clean off the buildup, and it's just easier to see where your paint's coming out of. It doesn't block the view of the paint hitting the. 'Cause that's what I'm looking at. I'm not looking at the tip. I'm looking at where I'm spraying paint, and sometimes that tip gets in the way when you get real close. You can't really see where you're spraying. There's the ear. Like this goes just like. Have that freehand stencil already? Oh, that's great. And then just little spots like this we can use. Oh, there you go. See you later. Just use this to sharpen up little areas here and there. Just like that. And then I think, let's see where else there's some angles here. Like there's that. We can go ahead and try to follow something like that. Maybe with the other stencil. This one, this is a Mike Lavelli stencil. Remember we were talking about that today? Uh, so that looks pretty dang close to that. We don't need to paint it exactly like what we got going on there, but and then maybe right there where that's actually already kind of in there. Just gonna bring that off of that. You can just follow the reference as you want, or with the Statue of Liberty, you can kind of make stuff up as you go. You're not painting grandma here. And it is a statue, so you do get away with a little bit of stuff. Kind of like what we talked about with Beetlejuice last week, is you can get away with an eye being a little crooked because of what you're painting. All right, let's go ahead and get into the face here, and we're gonna. You see how there's just shadows up into here? Just slowly just apply paint to try to match what's going on there. Shadow up underneath the hair. One thing I like to do is, a lot of the edges of the face here, even though you can see right here is a very important. See, there's a back highlight right here. Like a lot of times when there's a shadow behind, like here's the cheek right here, there'll be a shadow all right here, except for the very edge is just going to be highlighted. You want to make sure that you see right here, we want to save that. If not, then it's going to look really flat on that side. But just that little tiny highlight makes all the difference.
Mr. C said, yeah, it ain't no lady neither. It's actually Apollo. If you look at any close-up pictures of the staff chains around.
Mm-hmm. Okay, don't want to do too much. Come back over here, maybe shade a little bit more over here. step back and look at it. Okay, you can see in the hair, we're going to start putting a little bit of texture in. See, that's just really flat right here. Not much going on. If you look at the picture real close, there's little waves in the hair, and we can just kind of mimic that as we see it. Gotta get up, let me wrap this around. Here we go. Make sure there's no leaking. Make sure the airbrush is flowing pretty good. Yep. And it don't take much. Just you might need to thin this out just a little more.
Really good.
Oh, thank you. We're gonna thin this out a little more so we can get the flow a little better. Oh, that's flowing better. Okay. Let's get some of this texture in the hair. We'll go ahead and shadow. Really, really light faint lines. Sorry, you can only see my hat. Oh, sorry. Trying to get my face in there so I can see. Can't. I gotta get my. Oh, little problem there.
You can get a little closer somehow.
We're gonna darken it. You can see all these are quite a bit darker. And if you look real close, it has the highlight that kind of comes up over and into it.
I practice holding my airbrush. I end up
So tense, my index finger gets really sore and sometimes cramps.
Yeah, it's like riding a bike. You know how your butt hurts after like the first couple rides. You got to get used to it. Takes a minute with an airbrush because it hurts. It's not natural for your finger to be like on top. We talked about it once before. Like airbrushes should have it on the button on the side. It's ergonomically more correct. Having to stretch your finger up over the top. But once again, you have a lot of control because you see I have my finger here, I have my thumb that can kind of help, control how much I pull back. And then really it's all about I'm just rocking the trigger back just a little bit. When I'm painting detail, the trigger doesn't go back this far. The trigger back just kind of just rocks right there at the very where the paint just barely starts to come out. And once you can just kind of feel that point and see when paint just barely starts coming out and just can stay in that range, you can do a lot of work and a lot of detail in that. It just takes time. Have you used airbrush lately? Oh, what did I do?
I don't know.
Did I say something? Did it kick us off? Huh. Man, it's getting mad at us a lot lately. Oh, getting banned off of Amazon or something happened. You see by putting these shadows in, like just the arm right here, how more realistic it's looking. All right, it's looking good. We're gonna go back into here, darken this up a little more. These guys don't need nearly as much detail because really they're a silhouette with just a little bit of highlights on them. As you see, the Statue of Liberty is much more than a silhouette. But really, everything kind of starts as the form. This kind of started as a silhouette. You know, we could add more detail to this if we wanted. You know, you can kind of in there. I mean, since we don't have the actual reference picture, that's the reference picture is just blacked out. We would have to make some stuff up. You know, like you know, where the helmet ends and where the gun starts and stuff like that. Some of it's easy, some of it's not. It would be better to find a reference. If you're going to paint detail, find a reference that has the detail. I'm going to kind of just mist a little bit of this darker color over all of the lighter gray that we have. You're going to see it's going to kind of just kind of blend it in, give it less contrast. And we can come back with that lighter color again. And really highlight this up. Put a white wash over everything. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and hit it with we're gonna go hit it with the white one more time, and then we'll hit it with the dark, and then we'll see see where we're at from there. Now, once again, once you can now at this point you can go back and forth between the two shades, as long as they're close, like I showed you earlier. As long as the shades are close in tones, and you're not like going from really like really dark to really light. As long as you're staying between those couple of tones, you go back and forth. You can create a lot of detail by doing that. It just takes time. Okay, once again, the lightest color of gray that we have. We're going to over reduce it, which means we're just going to put a little more urethane reducer in it into the mixture to make it a little thinner. There we go. That's pretty thin. Good.
On the military insignias down the left side.
Right here? Yeah, I'm going to do yeah, that's a good idea. I'm actually going to do the logo of the foundation, and then I was going to do like the fly fishing and stuff like that, which is kind of what they do is they help out veterans with outdoor activities. Okay, we're going to start nailing down these.
I really don't think you realize how much your videos help, Adam. I really appreciate this more than I can say.
Thanks. Appreciate that. Tell your friends. Tell your friends, come watch. I'm going to highlight these eyeballs a little more than they've shown in the photos, the photo reference here, but it's okay. See if we can kind of create a little bit more of the nostrils of the nose by just hitting the highlights. Because really, that other side of that nostril, you can see, is just a highlight right there. You know, so we can create a little bit more of the nose, giving it more detail. Really using a stencil here would be like if we had a little bit smaller of a stencil, we could stencil this out just with a little hand shield. And I'll probably do that when it's all like kind of when it's all built. I can go in there and then chisel things out like that. Really, it's not worth doing all that detail when you still got work to do. you're just going to end up covering it up. So I can kind of show you maybe right here where, let's see. Good example of that would be, oh, look at that right there. Something like that.
And I do tell people, everyone who will listen, run branches down and the charity on the bottom will be bitching.
What was that? These are, what, say that again?
Run the branches down.
Right
and
here.
the charity at the bottom.
Yeah, that would be cool. And you can see how nice and crisp that made, because that's really how that looks right there. So by using these stencils, you can really cut these out. Now, not doing it all over, making it look the mixture of both the freehand with the stencils, give it a good look. So you can overdo it though. Same thing here. Like we could, where the chin is, the same one kind of right there. We can kind of put that right there. Just giving that little, see how that just kind of makes that more 3D. And then you can blend it in with some freehand. The nice thing is we can lose a little bit of detail on that lip because we can re-register the stencil. So we can get in here and make sure we hit that highlight that's right above the lip. Right there. So pretty much we're just dissecting our reference and slowly just starting to chisel this out, giving it more detail. When we started it out, we were really fast and really loose with our airbrush. Now we're starting to tighten things down and create the detail. That's the way to do it. That way you're not trying to do all the detail and then you don't have enough paint down anyways. So you need to lay down the paint to get to that point. So you're just wasting time and wasting material. I'm going to do a little bit more on here. Let's see here. We can go to the top of the hair again.
Bro, this is so satisfying and it's turning out badass.
Yeah, thank you. Still, I want this thing to be super nice. And I mean, really doing it behind the camera adds, I can't really get my face in there close enough to be able to like really knock down this detail. But when it's all said and done, I'll post it on the members page and you guys can check it out. It will be done by on Veterans Day, actually. Oh, whoa.
Whoa.
See that?
Why does that keep happening?
Dribbling through that hole right there.
Cheap brush.
No, I want to do it too. It's okay. It's nothing that can't be fixed. I wish that wouldn't happen, but let's hit this highlight right here.
Don't put a bullet hole right there.
No, come on. No, that's horrible. I'll see a little bit of splatter. See, and somebody didn't mention earlier that when you do get tip dry, it is nice to be able just to clean it off like that without having that cap on there.
Someone also says they get it a lot more with white, it seems like.
The drips? Oh, the tip dry? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, tip dry with the white happens a lot more. I don't know. It's because of what it's made out of. It's a heavier paint. She actually has an earring right here. Notice that?
Yeah, I thought it was a he. Someone said, and I really thought they always say Lady Liberty.
I don't think that's a dude. Back then, they had kind of hair like that, though, huh?
It's better follow.
So nice. I don't know nothing. I know it was a gift from France, right?
I have no idea.
You didn't know that either?
I don't really know.
Yeah, it's a gift from France. And I think it got put up in Arizona, if I'm correct. Then they moved it to New York. Did you know that?
No.
No, you didn't know that either, huh? You're learning a lot of new stuff today.
Can you spray base coat and clear, then use a scratch technique for hair or fur without damaging what has been done already?
Yep, absolutely. I love like I'll if I'm painting like an animal where scratching away fur to make a fur texture. So I'll do an underpainting and make it lighter than what the original would be. Clear coat it, and then you can paint once it's dry, you can sand it and then repaint your next layer right on top of that clear coat. And then scratch back those layers. I like to do an underpainting though too, so there's still something there to work off of. It all depends on what I'm painting though. I'll do that with definitely with animals, with a fur technique. There's a lot of different ways though. Click on this elbow. There was a highlight there. We'll kind of highlight up there.
We're up to 309 on the.
Oh wow! All right, guys, appreciate you giving to that charity. I'm sure they'll be super stoked about it. Okay, so Lady Liberty's looking pretty good.
What's the thing on her head called?
Oh, it's called a crown, isn't it?
No. Someone asked that, and I'm not sure.
It probably has a fancy name. We're going to take this, re-register this stencil.
The crown is called a diadem.
Not know that. Looking good there. Let's where's my other two soldiers? Oh great, they marched away.
What?
My other two soldiers.
Are they under the panel?
Let's see. Nope.
Huh.
Maybe they're over here. Oh, I think they walked off.
I see the little lone standing gun.
Where's that at? Oh, right here? Okay,
Yeah.
I need that too. I think they were sick of waiting.
There you go.
Oh. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's looking good. All right, let's get these guys registered back in there. Some more highlights.
They're winning. Oh,
I'm not going to hit it all, just some of the spots. A little bit of smoke coming out of there. There we go.
Hawkeye and Radar gone. MASH reference. Laugh out loud.
Okay. Oh, we're looking good. What time are we at? Oh, we're an hour and 42 minutes. All right, I think we're gonna call it there. We're gonna give our stick around for just a second though, because we're still gonna have one more giveaway. But I think we'll go ahead and stop it here. I still got more work to do to this. It's looking pretty good. The Statue of Liberty, you could almost, depending on how you feel about it, you could say you're almost done with it. You could throw a candy over this, and actually, I probably will end up throwing a candy over both of these sides. One will be blue, one will be gold, and then I might mix a little bit of that blue and that gold into the Statue of Liberty to have it like kind of highlight that color. So maybe a little bit of a gold hue over on this side, and then a cold blue candy over here that kind of highlights that gold blue. See where I'm going with this? You know, so it kind of shows like the war, the guys and girls going through the war, and then Statue of Liberty kind of break that up, and then some of the foundation stuff that they do as far as like maybe a fly fisherman, rock climber. Yeah, I'll maybe have some other ideas by then.
Looks good.
But,
That will look
yeah.
good. My favorite piece so far.
Oh, cool. I'm excited for you guys to see the finished product of this because I am going to put in a few more hours of work. I'll put more work into her too. Just honing things in, trying to make it a little nicer.
Love it so far. Needs a moon on the top right. Nice composition, Adam.
That would be nice to put a moon right here. Actually, I might do that. I like that better than a jet. I think I will. I think I'll take that idea. Okay, cool. Well, you want to give away? Want to give away the last thing here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. All right, let's do it. Real quick, just lime into the comments, hashtag lime, just like everybody else is doing. It'll put you in for the win. Don't forget to hit that like button.
Inspiring. That's what I call it.
Right.
Okay, here we
Okay,
go.
we ready?
Mhm.
All right, let's do it. Good luck, guys. Justin Busey, congratulations. Just shoot us an email at info@limelinepaintsupply.com and you'll get your mystery winnings. We'll put together a box of custom paint treats for you. All right, I think that's it. We're good to go on that. So yeah, thanks for joining us. Day early. We're headed out to SEMA for the last 2 days. Tomorrow morning we're headed out 8 in the morning, and we'll go check out stuff down there. But we'll be back here next Thursday, right? Back on schedule.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Well, we're glad you guys were able to make it. Keep an eye on the YouTube channel. I'll post pictures of this. If I can, I'm try to go live at the event. We'll see how the Wi-Fi is there.
All right, guys. Have
All
a
right.
good night. Thanks for being here on a Wednesday night.
All right, see you guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for the help with that.
Yeah, bye, guys.